Greetings, everyone. This is Eric Stewart from the Bad Rhino Local Podcast. I have a awesome guest here, Tyrone Taylor. How you doing, Tyrone?
I'm doing good, Eric. How you doing, sir?
Doing good, man. It's great to have you here. And Tyrone is the co-founder and CEO of Anchor Property Investment Solutions. And they deal a lot with real estate and investment from commercial to residential. He's also the co-founder and president of the Epcot Crenshaw Corporation, which is a technology infrastructure development company based here in Westchester, PA, or Chester County, PA. So Tyrone, I got to jump into it. First question. It's been like top of mind here, especially as a younger person trying to find a house, trying to find some real estate to possibly, eventually move out of my parents' house. What trends have you been seeing over the past couple of years in real estate market today?
Well, the market has been interesting, to say the least. I think in recent time, the kind of the biggest event that we've had, that's really affected the market was the whole pandemic back in 2020. And, of course, obviously the world was dealing with something like we've never really seen before. And, everybody was kind of really confused as to what would happen. It was, some people thought housing market was going to completely crash and, everything was going to shut down. And what do we do next? And then, ironically, after that, the housing market was on fire for 2 straight years, maybe 2 plus a little bit. And, that's when we saw a lot of the, situations where, due to just the demand in the market and also the super low interest rates that we enjoyed for some years there. We saw the bidding wars. That was like a common scenario, especially in our area, Chester County and Westchester especially. So people were, having a hard time actually buying houses to live in because everything that went to market was pretty much off the market, like very quickly before a lot of people could get eyes on it. And then it was getting bid up to these like insane amounts, 30, 40, 50, 60, $1,000 over asking, no inspections, no contingencies. It was just wild. So I think in more recent time, over the past probably 4 to 6 months, even more so recently, 2 to 4 months, toward the end of 2022, we saw things started to slow down as the Fed raised the interest rates, and that started to price some folks out of the market because it became harder to actually qualify for loans. So you have kind of the combination of, at least in our area, still dealing with a relatively low inventory situation. And then so there's a demand, but then there's also the lower buying pressure a little bit because it's harder to qualify for loans because we're up at 6-7% interest rates as opposed to 3, which they were a year ago. So it's really, kind of created this scenario where people were like, do I buy? Do I not buy? And, to that, I get questions on that. And I think it really comes down to like people's personal situations, like what's good for you at what time, because it's a hard thing to time perfectly.
Yeah, it's like you're always in limbo, right? Going back and forth. It's like, is it time? Is it time for me to do this? Is it time for me to make an investment in real estate, possibly get a house, possibly get a rental house and rent it out? It is crazy. Where do you think it goes from here?
Well, I think that, so there's 2 different sides of the coin. I was speaking to kind of like an owner occupant situation where, say when you're ready to do your thing and you buy a house for you to live in, on the investment side, which is where I'm focused, I don't think there's ever a bad time to invest. So on that side, I would say if you're looking at potentially investing in something and, it's like a rental property or an income producing property, there's no bad time to do that. But as far as where things go from here, I think that the rates are going to stay kind of, at a point where it's going to make it challenging for a lot of people to buy. So a lot of folks are saying, and the Fed has hinted at, even raising interest rates more. So that might further exacerbate the situation. The market has slowed down. We've kind of creeped into a recession a little bit. So, I think there's a chance that the market starts to slow down, but then at the same time, we still have the demand, and we're also heading into, a couple of months we'll be headed to spring and summer, which is typically when the market heats up. So I got to be honest, I'm not sure what's happens from here.
That's
I,
totally fair.
yeah, I know that for investing, I'm gonna, we stay focused on finding, good deals to turn over good assets, so that won't stop. But if I was looking for my personal house to buy right now, I would just be looking for good deals.
I gotcha. That's kind of a good segue into my next question, actually, and what you actually do at Anchor Property Investment Solutions. So why don't you just share a little bit of what you guys do over there?
Sure, sure. So we're primarily focused on we acquire, revitalize, and stabilized aged and underperforming residential properties, primarily residential. It's commercial residential because we're focused on multifamily properties. So that's, commercial is typically anything that's 5 units plus. We do have a few residential units, which, are kind of, we purchased when we were more so focused on the residential side because that's where we started. And we also have some commercial mixed use assets here in Westchester where we're based. But our primary targets are, again, underperforming and aged assets where it's in many cases we find that we're running into landlords who are older, looking to retire, and over the years, the places have, as they've kind of gotten older and began to look at the latter stages of their life, places get to the point where they have deferred maintenance and, tenant issues that they just don't want to deal with, things like that. So we find good opportunities to find, market deals or under market deals where we can bring our management expertise, turn the properties around, fix the properties up, and provide good, solid housing that we can offer at affordable rent rates to like workforce housing, participants kind of in that sector of the housing market.
That's awesome. Where are like majority of your houses or your commercial spots there?
So commercial spots, the majority of them actually are here in Westchester. So commercial mixed use assets are here in Westchester. The majority of our units are in Pottstown. And again, Pottstown is one of those markets, workforce housing oriented. A lot of very nice, like solid properties that we see there. We've liked what has happened in the Pottstown market over the recent years, and we like where it's going. A lot of investment going into Pottstown into revitalizing that area and making that a really great place to live and do business. So we have put down some roots there as well.
Nice. I love it. It's basically follow where the work is, right? Where workers are coming, they're going to need a place to stay.
Yep. And where the need is, the housing shortage is it's massive across the board and only getting worse in certain places. And Pottstown is one of those places.
Business owners and marketing professionals in the Philly area, Bad Rhino takes the overwhelm out of digital marketing. With tailored digital marketing services, from social media management to SEO and PPC advertising, our expert team navigates the complexities of the digital ad space for your business. Let Bad Rhino lead you to success. Visit badrhinoinc.com and let's take your business to new heights. Bad Rhino, we do digital marketing, so you don't have to.
So I was doing some research on you and all the different stuff that you're in, and I got to tell you, you got a lot going on. Like, I was just checking it out, all the different things you're involved in. It's one of those things where I sit back and I look at a guy like you and I'm like, what's the mindset like to be able to do all these different things and keep yourself in line and on track to just keep growing as a professional?
That's a great question, Eric. And, to me, mindset is everything, right? My mindset is really, I wake up every day and put one foot in front of the other is pretty much with as much intensity as I can to move forward and try to stay, intensely focused on taking care of the things that I care about and serving the things that are important to me. So that's my family, my businesses, my community, and people, who by far and large just need help. And that kind of ties into the community focus. So I think that when we focus on kind of serving purposes that are bigger than ourselves, that gives us a lot of energy to, to really go forward and push forward when many times, you don't feel like it, or, you just don't have that much gas left in the tank. Like for instance, I wake up at about 3:30 most mornings. I was up 3:30 this morning, although I was out until 10 o'clock last night, had a late business meeting over at Iron Hill. And then, and I woke up and, there's many days where I'm like, an extra hour, 2 hours, 3 hours feels really great right now. But I know that there's people out there who need housing. There's people out there who need help. There's properties out there that need redevelopment, that, people are stuck in situations that aren't going to move forward if I don't get up. And with that, I just suck it up and make it happen.
Yeah, 3:30 alarm, that'd be tough. That'd be real tough. Roll over, snooze button maybe, but no, that's awesome. It's
an acquired taste.
Serving that higher purpose. That's what it's all about, right? Helping people out. And speaking of helping people out, let's talk a little bit about Epcot Crenshaw Corporation and your partnership with Cheney University and what's going on there. Can you just share with our listeners what's going on there?
Sure. So I'd like to kind of focus more on Epcot Crenshaw because it's not really Cheney kind of specific to Cheney. Mm-hmm. For instance, we work with a number of universities. We were actually we had meetings at Millersville yesterday, but discussing some potential partnership opportunities. But so the mission of Epcot Crenshaw, we've been at this for about 15 years now. And it's funny how, there's a saying that timing is everything, right? The things that we work on have generally been, we've seen them as being very, very big problems since we started. But over time, the policy and I guess the world has kind of started to edge more in the direction of paying more attention to these issues and putting more, more force behind actually resolving them. So specifically, we basically work to develop facilities that provide more food, energy, and water for society. And, essentially it's all about beneficial reuse of existing real estate and existing industrial assets to produce more of those things. We have a growing population. We have, scarcity in food. I mean, we see what happens to food prices when we have natural disasters and so forth. Clean energy and how that ties into climate change and everything else that happens when there's a shortage of stabilized energy assets in certain areas. We see what that can do. And clean water, think about places like Flint, and the whole crisis that happened there in recent years, and more close to home, the Chesapeake Bay watershed, which, that's where we are in our region, and what's happened to the bay over time from all of the waste and basically runoff from industrial facilities and agricultural facilities in our region running off into the bay and destroying this natural estuary that basically feeds a ton of things. So really, we think that those three focus areas are a big part of our future, and that they require more of our focus if we're going to survive. Essentially, we have to make more with less, and our population is growing, and that's the nexus of that, the synergies of those three things, and producing more of what our population needs is the basis of Epcot Crenshaw. Yeah.
I like it, man. That really hits home a little bit because I'm really into fishing, and I'll go to these different places and these different streams, and I'll see what's going on there, and I'll see the signs up that says like you can't swim here because we're dumping stuff into this river. Yeah. It's like, oh man, that's probably not a good thing. Yeah. But do you guys focus more on the research side of it, with like an educational kind of push to like the colleges, or?
That's a great question. Yeah, that is I would say that's one side of it. On one side, I mean, we're actually on the development side, so it's all our research and development. So on the research side, we do have a nonprofit arm It's called the Crenshaw Institute for Applied Science and Technology. Acronym is CHASE. And that's the organization that actually works with local colleges and universities to basically develop initiatives for workforce housing, or not workforce housing, sorry, workforce development. So in that regard, essentially in these skilled industries that, involving food, energy, water, and even other trades that feed industries that are growing, we see these increasing needs where the kids that are coming up, through high school and into college are not being trained and positioned properly to actually go out and compete for these jobs. So that was, and that's what led us to actually found the nonprofit work at Epcot. The work that we were doing, we were actually bringing in interns from Cheney, from Westchester, from a few other local schools. And we would see that these were seniors who were getting ready to graduate. And they were biology, chemistry majors. They were going to graduate and go compete for jobs in laboratories and at research organizations. And they didn't have just the basic experience to be able to know what to do. And we figured, we as a society, we have to do better to position these kids in the position, people to actually go out and fulfill these jobs that are going to be needed to push these industries forward. So that's how Epcot works. And then Chase, the nonprofit that works with the schools, kind of ties into that and tries to help develop the workforce that's going to support those efforts.
Gotcha. I love that. And, we could have a whole separate podcast about colleges, and because I'm just recently graduated, and it's a big culture shock a little bit when you get into the workforce and you gotta, hey, it's the real world. Let's go. So that's awesome that you guys are doing that though.
It's a brisk transition.
Yeah, it is.
And this, and then you graduate and then you're like, all right, what happens now?
It really is. But no, that's awesome. And thank you for explaining those two companies that you work with and you're doing a lot for, and also your mindset too. Why don't we talk a little bit about the Westchester and Exton Chamber, because that's actually where we met at one of those events. What, in your own words, why don't you just explain business life kind of in those two chambers? Sure.
So previously I was involved with the Mainline Chamber. And that's when, before, this was going back probably 3-4 years ago, our business, we were doing a lot of business in the King of Prussia area and down in Philadelphia. So although I lived here, just the fact that was where I was mostly doing business, it just made more sense to be, kind of in that area, but have really, really kind of focused on and honed in on, supporting the local chamber, where I'm Westchester, the Greater Westchester Chamber, recently joined a few months ago. And, I just, like you, it was a pleasure meeting you there. And, we knew some of the same folks, and I get energy from just going out and connecting with local business owners and, seeing what issues people are dealing with and, kind of strategize ways to, how can we work together to address what your need is? And, those kind of things really just, I really get excited about that. And I think that there's a synergy that's interesting when you put business owners together and just, we communicate with each other and we talk about challenges and so forth, and how we can come up with solutions to problems that are not even just specific to our one industry. I've noticed that a lot in talking with folks from the chamber. So that's been really cool.
I like it, man. Yeah, all networking, getting out there, talking to new people, and someone that has a total different perspective than you can give you more ideas that you can probably incorporate in your own business, and it's really fun. Probably one of my favorite things to do is go to those chamber events. Especially when it comes to work. But that's awesome.
I've also, recently joined the board of the Westchester Business Improvement District, kind of for that, and along that same vein, just really wanting to support and, encourage and help the borough grow and the businesses within it. So that's another focus point of mine as well.
Nice. But is that a part of the chamber, or is that something totally different?
That's a separate organization. Yep.
Awesome. Cool. I have to check them out. Nice.
Yeah.
Tyrone, I really appreciate it. Why don't you just shout out, your two companies, how people can get in contact with you, the websites and the social media and that kind of stuff.
Sure, sure. You can learn about if you're interested in real estate investing, or you actually want to learn how to invest. I get approached by a lot of people that have questions about the housing market. Been thinking about doing this. I don't know, how, when to get started. So that company is Anchor Property Investment Solutions. We are Anchor Property Solutions on Instagram, Facebook. You can find us there. I'm also in the process of starting a YouTube channel where we're going to actually start putting up a lot of educational videos for people who want to actually start investing. So feel free to reach out to us on any of those. The infrastructure company, the renewable company, is Epcot Crenshaw Corporation. And we're not big on social yet. We're on LinkedIn on that company, kind of a little bit of a different target market. But our website is www.epcotcrenshaw.com. If you want to learn more about us and what we do and connect with us, have some interest in helping the environment and the world as a whole, we'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Tyrone, I appreciate it. All those links will be in the show description, so you guys can go check them out. I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you at more networking events in the future.
Same, Eric. It's been a pleasure, man. Thank you.